The massive ship appeared in space like a dark mountain blocking the sun. It was bigger than anything humans had ever built. The Valkyrian Empire's diplomatic vessel hung above Earth's moon, its hull covered in strange symbols that glowed with purple light. Inside the ship, Ambassador Zek Thorel stood with his 3 eyes fixed on the blue planet below. "Another primitive world," he said to his assistant. His voice was deep and slow like grinding rocks. "This will be simple. They always submit when they see our power." Zek Thorel had done this many times before. For 300 years he had traveled to new worlds and brought them into the Empire. The small species always reacted the same way. First came fear, then came respect, finally came acceptance. It was the way of the galaxy. The strong guided the weak, the old taught the young. The Empire had ruled for 10,000 years because this system worked. "Send them our demands," Zek Thorel ordered. "Standard integration protocol. They will join the Empire, pay tribute, and stop their uncontrolled expansion into space." His assistant bowed and left. Zek Thorel looked at the reports about Earth. The humans had barely left their world. They had a few colonies on nearby planets. Their ships were slow and used primitive fuel. They had no energy shields. Their weapons were laughable. They had only discovered faster-than-light travel 20 years ago by accident. "Children playing in the stars," he muttered. On Earth, alarms were ringing in every government building. Ambassador Maria Chen sat in a meeting room with 50 other people. Everyone was shouting. The screens on the walls showed the alien ship. It was so large that Earth's defense satellites looked like toys beside it. "We need to evacuate the major cities," someone yelled. "We should launch everything we have at them," another person shouted. Maria rubbed her tired eyes. She had been awake for 36 hours. "Everyone, please be quiet," she said. Her voice was calm but firm. The room slowly became silent. Panicking won't help. They sent a message. "They want to talk." "So we talk. But their demands a general started to say. "Are ridiculous, yes," Maria interrupted. "They want us to become part of their empire. They want us to pay them tribute. They want us to ask permission before we go anywhere in space. It's basically slavery with fancy words." She stood up and looked at everyone. "But they want to negotiate. That means they follow rules. And if they follow rules, we can work with that." Dr. James Park, the team's xenobiologist, raised his hand. He was young and always nervous. "I finished analyzing their biology from the transmission. They breathe oxygen like us. They have 3 eyes. They live for about 500 years. Their body temperature is lower than ours and—" He paused, looking uncomfortable. "They reproduce by budding. It's like yeast." Someone in the room laughed. Then another. Soon half the room was trying not to smile. "That's enough," Maria said, but she was also fighting a smile. "Dr. Park, anything else?" They seemed very formal. Very rigid. Every word in their message followed exact patterns. "I think their culture values order and tradition above everything else." Maria nodded. "Good, that helps." She looked at the team. "We're going to meet them at the new space station." "Yes, I know it's barely finished." "Yes, I know the coffee machine doesn't work properly. But it's neutral ground and it's ours. Captain O'Brien will host. Dr. Park will advise on biology. General Martinez will handle security. And I will negotiate." "What's our strategy?" asked General Martinez. Maria smiled. It was not a friendly smile. "We're going to be ourselves. Completely, honestly, undeniably human. And we're going to see how they react." 3 days later, Captain Sarah O'Brien stood in the docking bay of humanity's newest space station. The station was called Hope. It was supposed to be a symbol of human achievement. Right now, it was a symbol of human overconfidence. Half the systems didn't work. The gravity was uneven in some sections. The walls still smelled like fresh paint. O'Brien had spent the last 3 days fixing problems with duct tape and prayer. "Station to control," she spoke into her communicator. "The Valkyrian shuttle is approaching. Everyone ready?" "Ready as we'll ever be," Maria's voice came back. The alien shuttle docked with a gentle bump. The door opened with a hiss. Smoke came out. No, not smoke. It was some kind of ceremonial fog. Through the fog, the Valkyrians emerged. They were tall. Very tall. Each one stood at least 8 feet high. They had gray skin that looked like stone. 3 eyes arranged in a triangle on their faces. They wore armor that seemed to be made of black metal. Each step they took echoed through the docking bay. Ambassador Zek Thorel stepped forward. He looked at the humans. Small creatures, weak, only 2 eyes, soft skin. He opened his mouth to begin his intimidation speech. "Hi, Welcome to Hope Station, Maria said, walking forward with her hand extended. I'm Ambassador Maria Chen. Would you like some coffee? Zekthoril stopped. His 3 eyes blinked in confusion. This was not the script. Where was the fear? Where was the trembling? The human was smiling at him. Before he could respond, a golden blur rushed past the human guards. A dog. An Earth golden retriever named Max had somehow escaped from the crew quarters. The dog ran straight to the Valkyrians, tail wagging, tongue hanging out. Max jumped up and put his paws on Zekthorl's armor, trying to lick the ambassador's face. Max?
No! O'Brien shouted, running after the dog.
Sorry, so sorry. He's friendly. Zekthorl stood frozen. In 300 years of diplomacy, nothing had prepared him for this. Behind him, one of his junior assistants made a sound. It took Zekthorl a moment to recognize it. The assistant was trying not to laugh. This was going to be more complicated than he thought. The conference room was the nicest place on Hope Station. That was not saying much. The table was new but already had a scratch on it. The chairs were comfortable but mismatched. The view screen on the wall flickered every few minutes. But it would have to do. Zekthorl sat on one side of the table with his delegation. Maria sat on the other side with hers. Between them sat cups of coffee that the humans had insisted on providing. The Valkyrians had not touched theirs. They did not understand why humans kept offering them beverages. Let us begin, Zekthorl said. He placed a datapad on the table. This is the integration contract. It has been used successfully on 473 worlds. The terms are standard and non-negotiable. You will have 3 days to accept. Maria picked up the datapad. She started reading, and reading, and reading. The document was 500 pages long. It was written in dense legal language. Most species took weeks to review it with teams of lawyers. Maria read it in 20 minutes. So, she said, putting down the pad, to summarize, Earth becomes a client state of the Empire. We pay 30% of our resources as tribute. We need permission for any space travel beyond our system. Our military is reduced to a police force. You put a governor here to oversee us, and in exchange, you provide protection and technology. She leaned back in her chair. It's basically slavery with extra steps. Zekthorl's 3 eyes blinked. That is a crude interpretation. We prefer to call it guided integration. Your species is young. You need direction. We're doing fine on our own, thanks, Maria said, are you? Zekthorl gestured to the window. You have barely left your system. Your technology is centuries behind ours. You still use chemical fuel for basic propulsion. You have no energy shields. Your ships are fragile. You are children in a dangerous galaxy. Maybe, Maria said, but we're learning fast. At that moment, the coffee machine in the corner of the room made a loud grinding noise. Then it started smoking. Then it exploded with a pop. Coffee sprayed across the wall. The humans all sighed like this was normal. O'Brien grabbed a towel and started cleaning. Sorry about that, Maria said. 3rd one this week. We'll get it fixed. One of the Valkyrian assistants leaned toward Zekthorl. Ambassador, should we be concerned about their technology? No, Zekthorl said, but he was not sure. Dr. Park stood up nervously. I have a question. About your reproduction method. You reproduce by budding, correct? A piece of your body grows into a new individual? Yes, Zekthorl said. It is efficient and reliable. Why do you ask? Well, doesn't that mean everyone is basically a clone? No genetic diversity? What happens if a disease targets your specific biology? The Valkyrians looked at each other. No one had ever questioned their reproduction method before. It was sacred. It was tradition. Our method has worked for millions of years, Zekthorl said coldly. Sure, Park said quickly. I'm just saying humans do it differently. Sexual reproduction. It's messier and more complicated, but it creates genetic diversity, makes us harder to wipe out. Just an observation. The room became very quiet. Maria kicked Park under the table. Zekthorl's stone-like face showed no emotion, but his eyes narrowed. Let us continue, Zekthorl said. You will sign the contract. This is inevitable. All species join the Empire eventually. What if we say no? Maria asked. Then we make you join. By force if necessary, so you'll attack us? We will do what is necessary to maintain galactic order. Maria leaned forward. Ambassador, can I be honest with you? Please. We studied your empire over the last 3 days. Your public records are very detailed. You control 473 worlds. But your military is spread thin. You have border conflicts with 3 other empires. Your economy is strained. 40% of your client worlds are behind on tribute payments. You have riots on 12 planets. And your emperor is dealing with succession challenges. Maria smiled. You need us more than we need you. Zekathorel stood up suddenly. His chair scraped loudly. How dare you? I'm not trying to insult you, Maria said calmly. I'm trying to negotiate honestly. You came here expecting us to surrender, to be afraid. But we did our homework. We know you're powerful. We also know you're not invincible. So instead of this integration nonsense, why don't we talk about a real partnership? Trade, cooperation, alliance, partnership? With primitives? We prefer the term enthusiastic newcomers, O'Brien said from where she was still cleaning up coffee. One of the human guards yawned. He had been awake for too long. To the Valkyrians, this was shocking. How could someone yawn during such an important meeting? Your people show no respect, Zekathorel said. We show respect to those who earn it, Maria replied. Respect isn't given because you're old or powerful. You have to earn it. The meeting continued for another 2 hours. The humans asked questions about everything in the contract. They found loopholes. They pointed out contradictions. They suggested alternatives. The Valkyrians had never experienced anything like this. Most species were too terrified to argue. Finally, Zekathorel stood. We will take a recess. This is not going as expected. Take all the time you need, Maria said. We're not going anywhere. The Valkyrians left the conference room. They walked down the corridor of the station. In one room, they saw humans exercising. 2 of them were running on machines that went nowhere. It looked like torture, but they were smiling. Why are they running if they're not being chased? Asked a young Valkyrian diplomat. I have no idea, Zekathorel admitted. In another room, someone had left a viewing screen on. It was showing an Earth nature documentary. On the screen, a human was running after an animal. The narrator explained that early humans hunted by chasing prey for hours until the animal collapsed from exhaustion. They chased their food until it died of tiredness? A Valkyrian security officer looked disturbed. What kind of predator does that? A persistent one, Zekathorel said quietly. They passed a gym where Captain O'Brien was arm wrestling with one of her crew members. The Valkyrian security officer watched. He was trained in combat. He was strong. I could defeat her easily, he said. Then prove it. O'Brien called out. She had heard him. Come on, big guy. Let's see what you've got. 5 minutes later, the Valkyrian security officer was staring at his hand in shock. O'Brien had beaten him. A creature half his size had beaten him. Good match, O'Brien said, patting his arm. You almost had me there. The security officer looked at Zekathorel. Ambassador, these humans, they are not what we expected. No, Zekathorel agreed. They are not. That night, Zekathorel could not enter his meditation state. He kept thinking about the humans. They were weak but not afraid. They were primitive but not stupid. They were strange in ways he could not explain. For the first time in 300 years, Ambassador Zekathorel was uncertain. And uncertainty, he was learning, was a very human thing to feel. Day 2 of negotiations started differently. The humans arrived with breakfast. They brought pastries, fruit, and coffee. Always coffee. The Valkyrians were beginning to understand that humans ran on coffee the way ships ran on fuel. Good morning, Maria said cheerfully. We have a counter-proposal for you. Zekathorel had not slept well. The station's air was too warm for his comfort. The gravity was slightly wrong, and he could not stop thinking about yesterday. A counter-proposal? You are in no position to make demands. Sure we are, Maria said. She placed her own data pad on the table. We propose a mutual trade agreement, technology exchange, open borders for commerce, joint scientific research, military cooperation against common threats, like equals. The Valkyrians looked at the document. Then they laughed. It was the first time the humans had heard them laugh. It sounded like rocks grinding together. You think you are our equals? Zekathorel said. You have nothing we want. Your technology is primitive. Your resources are limited. What can you possibly offer us? Maria's smile did not change. Let me show you something. She pulled up a presentation on the view screen. This is our analysis of the Valkyrian Empire. We've been busy. For the next hour, Maria showed them everything. She showed them maps of their trade routes and pointed out inefficiencies. She showed them their military deployments and explained the gaps. She showed them economic data and predicted a recession in 2 years if current trends continued. She showed them internal political struggles they thought were secret. How? Sek'Tharal whispered. How do you know all this? Your public records are very detailed, Maria said. We just had to read them. All of them. And analyze them. And cross-reference them. We've had teams working non-stop for 3 days. That's impossible. There are millions of documents. Dr. Park raised his hand. We're very good at not sleeping. Coffee helps. Also, we invented computers specifically because we're lazy and wanted machines to do the boring work. One of the Velkarian assistants leaned close to Sek'Tharal. Ambassador, this is concerning. They learned everything about us in 3 days. What else can they do? Sek'Tharal called for a break. He needed to think. He needed to report this to the Empire. The humans were not behaving according to any pattern he knew. During the break, a young Velkarian diplomat named Velnor wandered away from the group. She was curious about these strange creatures. She found a lounge area where some humans were relaxing. One of them was watching something on a screen. What is that? Velnor asked. The human looked up. Oh, hi there. It's a nature documentary about honey badgers. Want to watch? Velnor sat down. She watched as the small earth creature fought animals much bigger than itself. She watched as it was stung by bees hundreds of times but kept going. She watched as it refused to give up no matter what. This animal is insane, Velnor said. Yeah, the human agreed happily. They're awesome. They just don't care about anything. They see something they want and they go get it. Nothing stops them. This is considered admirable on your world? Heck yeah. We respect determination. Never giving up. Pushing through pain. That's like a core human value. Velnor thought about this. The Velkarian way was different. They valued order, efficiency, logic. This persistence thing seemed wasteful, but also impressive. She learned more as she talked to the human. She learned that humans had gone to space using chemical rockets. They had strapped themselves to controlled explosions and hoped for the best. She learned that before humans had proper spaceflight, they had world wars. They had invented nuclear weapons before they left their planet. You had weapons that could destroy your whole world and you still kept fighting each other? Velnor was shocked. Yeah, we almost wiped ourselves out a few times, the human admitted. But we learned from it. Eventually, we're slow learners, but we get there. Velnor returned to Sek'Tharal and told him what she had learned. The ambassador's 3 eyes widened with each new piece of information. They used controlled explosions for spaceflight? Yes, Ambassador. They had planet-destroying weapons before achieving peace? Yes, Ambassador. They hunted by chasing prey until it died of exhaustion? That too, Ambassador. Sek'Tharal sat down slowly. What kind of species does these things? A terrifying one, said his security officer. Or an incredibly brave one. I cannot decide which. That evening, something interrupted the negotiations. An alarm rang through the station. O'Brien's voice came over the speakers. All hands to stations. We have a distress call. Pirate attack on Colony Transport 7. Civilians in danger. Sek'Tharal stood immediately. We will dispatch a warship. It will arrive in 6 hours. 6 hours? Maria was already moving. Those people don't have 6 hours. We're going now. But your ships are not combat ready. You have no weapons capable of a... Watch us, Maria said. Within 15 minutes, 3 human ships launched from Hope Station. They were small. They were built for mining, not fighting. But they were fast and they were crewed by humans who had that same look Sek'Tharal had seen in the Honey Badger documentary. The Velkarians watched from Hope Station's command center. They watched as the human ships approached the pirate vessel. The pirates had better weapons, better shields, better everything. This should have been a massacre. Instead, they watched humans do what humans do best. They improvised. One ship used its mining laser to cut through the pirates' shield generator. Another ship rammed into the pirate vessel's engine. The third ship somehow hacked the pirates' communication system and started playing loud earth music to confuse them. What are they doing? Velnor asked. I have no idea, Sek'Tharal admitted. They watched as human soldiers in basic spacesuits boarded the pirate ship. They had no advanced weapons. They had cutting tools and determination. They fought through corridors. They rescued the civilians. They even captured most of the pirates alive. Why didn't they kill the pirates? Asked the security officer. I think they want to talk to them, O'Brien said. She was watching with her arms crossed and a proud smile. That's very human. We always try talking first. Well, sometimes during, occasionally after. The human ships returned to Hope Station with all the civilians safe. The pirates were in custody. Total time for the operation: 45 minutes. The rescued colonists came onto the station crying and hugging their rescuers. Then someone produced alcohol. Someone else produced music. Within an hour, a party had started in the main hangar. Come on. O'Brien grabbed Zek Thorl's arm. You need to experience this. Experience what? A human celebration. Before he could protest, Zek Thorl was pulled into the party. There was loud music. People were dancing. Someone handed him a glass of something that burned his throat. Humans were laughing and telling stories about the rescue mission like it had been fun. You almost died, Zek Thorl said to one of the pilots. Yeah, the pilot agreed happily. But we didn't. That's worth celebrating. A young colonist came up to Zek Thorl. Thank you for being here. The human said you were going to send help too. Yes. We would have arrived in 6 hours. Well, I'm glad the humans got there first. No offense. Zek Thorl watched the party. He watched humans celebrate their near-death experience. He watched them dance and sing and be alive with an intensity he had never seen in any species. Maria appeared beside him with 2 glasses. Here, try this. It's called whiskey. Zek Thorl took the glass. He sipped it carefully. It burned, but not unpleasantly. Why do you celebrate like this? You could have died. Because we didn't die, Maria said simply. We looked at danger and we said, not today, that's worth celebrating. Every day we survive, every problem we solve, every person we save, what all matters. Life is short and dangerous and beautiful, so we celebrate it. For the first time in decades, Zek Thorl felt something strange. He felt his face muscles moving in an unfamiliar way. He was smiling. Actually smiling. You are insane, he told Maria. Yeah, she agreed, but it's fun. You should try it. The party continued late into the station's artificial night cycle. Zek Thorl found himself sitting at a table with several humans and Velnor. The music was quieter now. People were telling stories. So there I was, O'Brien was saying, stuck on the moon with a broken oxygen tank and 3 hours of air left. The rescue ship was 4 hours away. How did you survive? Velnor asked. Duct tape and a plastic bag. I made a seal around the leak and breathed slowly. Real slowly, O'Brien laughed. When they found me, I was blue in the face but alive. The engineer couldn't believe my repair job held. You trusted your life to tape and plastic? Zek Thorl was horrified. Didn't have much choice. It was that or die, O'Brien shrugged. Sometimes the best solution is the simple one. We over-engineer everything because we want backups for our backups. But when things go wrong, we go back to basics. A young human named Jackson leaned forward. Want to hear the best story? Tell them about the Mars colony, Dr. Park. Dr. Park looked embarrassed. Oh, that's not a... Tell them. Several humans said at once. Park sighed. Fine. So the first Mars colony had a crisis. The water recycling system broke. Completely broke. We had 3 days of water left and no way to fix it. The replacement parts were 2 weeks away. What did you do? Velnor was on the edge of her seat. We used beer-making equipment, Park said. One of the colonists was a hobby brewer. Turns out the fermentation tanks could be modified to purify water. It wasn't perfect, but it worked. We survived on beer-maker water until the parts arrived. The Velcarians stared. Then Velnor started laughing. Actually laughing. Not the grinding sound from before, but real laughter. Soon other Velcarians joined in. You used alcohol-making equipment to purify water? Zek Thorl shook his head, but he was smiling. You are all completely insane. That's the nicest thing you've said to us, Maria said, appearing with more drinks. As the night went on, the stories continued. Humans told stories of disasters averted, of impossible solutions, of refusing to give up. The Velcarians shared their own stories, though theirs were more formal, more ordered. But slowly a bridge was forming between the two species. Around midnight, Zek Thorl stepped outside onto an observation deck. Earth hung in the window, blue and white and beautiful. Maria joined him a moment later. Can I be honest with you? Zek Thorl asked. Please. When we arrived, I expected primitives. I expected fear. I expected simple creatures who would gratefully accept our guidance. He turned to look at her. You are none of those things. No, Maria agreed. We're not. You should be afraid of us. We have weapons that could destroy your entire fleet. We have technology you cannot match. We have ruled the galaxy for 10,000 years. But you won't destroy us, Maria said calmly. How do you know? Because you're not conquerors. You're administrators. You take over worlds because you think you're helping them. You genuinely believe you're bringing order to chaos. And maybe for some species you are. Maria looked at Earth. But we're not some species. We're humanity. We already have order. It's messy and complicated and imperfect, but it's ours, and we don't need saving. Zekthorel was quiet for a long moment. When I first saw your ships, I thought they were poorly made. No shields. Weak hulls. Simple weapons. But watching you fight today, you turned mining equipment into weapons in minutes. You used tactics I have never seen. You accomplished in 45 minutes what should have taken hours. We're good at improvising, Maria said. We have to be. We're new to all this. We don't have thousands of years of technology to fall back on. So we make do with what we have. We adapt. We survive. Do you know what terrifies me about your species? Zekthorel asked. What? Your recklessness. You went to space on chemical explosions. You created planet-destroying weapons before you had peace. You hunt by exhausting your prey. You solve problems with tape and plastic bags. You celebrate near-death experiences. He looked at her. You should not have survived as a species. By all logic, you should have destroyed yourselves long ago. But you didn't. You thrived. You reached the stars. And now you are here negotiating with an empire that could crush you, and you are not afraid. Maria smiled. You know what I think? I think you're not afraid of our recklessness. You're afraid because we remind you of something. What? What you used to be. Before you became an empire. Before you spent 10,000 years following rules and protocols and traditions. We're young and wild and chaotic, and some part of you remembers when your people were too. Maria's smile softened. We scare you because we're alive in a way you've forgotten how to be. Zekthorel opened his mouth to argue. Then he closed it. She was right. Completely, uncomfortably right. My people will not accept an equal partnership with yours, he said finally. The Empire does not make alliances. We integrate, we rule. That is our way. Then your way needs to change, Maria said. Because we're not going to submit. And you're not going to force us. You know it and I know it. You could try to conquer us, but we'd make you pay for every inch. We'd fight with everything we have. We'd turn rocks into missiles and ice into bombs. We'd be the annoying enemy that never gives up, never stops, never accepts defeat. And you're already spread thin. You don't need another war. So what do you suggest? Be honest with your emperor. Tell him you found a species that won't integrate. Tell him we offer something better, a real alliance. Partners, not subjects. We help each other. We learn from each other. We face the galaxy together. Maria extended her hand. What do you say? Zekthorel looked at her hand. In 300 years of diplomacy, he had never been in this position. He had always been the one with power. Always been the one making demands. Always been certain of the outcome. Now he was uncertain. And strangely, he found he did not mind. He took her hand. I will speak to the Emperor. I promise nothing. But I will try. That's all we ask. They shook hands. Behind them, through the window, someone had started playing music again. Humans and Valkyrians were dancing together. It was awkward. The Valkyrians did not understand human dance. The humans did not understand Valkyrian rhythm. But they were trying. Velnor appeared on the observation deck. Ambassador, you should see this. They are teaching us a dance called the Macarena. I do not understand its purpose, but it is enjoyable. Zekthorel looked at Maria. What is a Macarena? A dance with no purpose except fun, Maria said, and come on. I'll teach you. 10 minutes later, Ambassador Zekthorel, respected diplomat of the Valkyrian Empire, was doing the Macarena with his arms. He was not good at it. He kept getting the movements wrong. But for the first time in decades, he was laughing. Really, truly laughing. And in that moment, the galaxy changed. Not because of weapons or threats or power, but because two species looked at each other and decided to laugh together. The next morning, Zekthorel sent a message to the Valkyrian Emperor. It was not the message he had planned to send. It was not the message the Empire expected, but it was honest. And honesty, he had learned from the humans, was the best foundation for any relationship. The Emperor's response came 3 days later. Zekthorel stood in the communications room with Maria, O'Brien, and Dr. Park. The hologram flickered to life. Emperor Zarkoth appeared, massive and imposing. His ceremonial armor gleamed with precious metals. His 3 eyes were sharp and intelligent. Ambassador Zekthorel, the Emperor's voice was deep and commanding. I have read your report, all of it, including the parts about dancing. Zekthoril stood straight. Yes, Emperor. I included everything. As you always taught me, complete honesty in all reports. You recommend we withdraw the integration contract. You recommend we offer an alliance instead. An equal alliance, with a species that has barely left its planet. The Emperor's tone was unreadable. Explain yourself. Emperor, the humans are unlike any species we have encountered. They are technologically primitive, yes, but they are also creative, resilient, and fearless. They analyze information faster than our best computers. They solve problems in ways we never consider. They turn disasters into victories through sheer determination. Zekthoril paused. And they are not afraid of us. Not because they are foolish, but because they have looked at their own history and survived worse. The Emperor was silent for a long moment. Then he said, Ambassador, step aside. I wish to speak to the humans directly. Maria stepped forward. Your Majesty, I'm Ambassador Maria Chen. You are the one who rejected our integration contract. Yes, sir. With respect, your contract was not acceptable to us. And you believe you can negotiate with an empire of 10,000 years? I believe we can negotiate with anyone willing to be honest, Maria said calmly. You're powerful. We know that. But you're also struggling. Border wars, economic problems, internal conflicts. You came to Earth expecting an easy integration, another planet to exploit for resources. But we did our homework. We know you need us as much as we need you. The Emperor's eyes narrowed. Bold words for a primitive. We prefer enthusiastic newcomer, O'Brien said from behind Maria. To everyone's shock, the Emperor laughed. It was a booming sound that echoed through the communication system. Enthusiastic newcomers. I like that. He looked at Maria. Very well, Ambassador Chen. Tell me why we should treat you as equals. Maria pulled up a presentation. Because we offer something no other species in your empire does. We offer innovation, fresh perspectives, unorthodox solutions. Your empire is old and wise, but age comes with rigid thinking. We're young and reckless, but youth comes with creativity. Together, we could be stronger than either of us alone. Give me an example. Dr. Park stepped forward nervously. Your warships use plasma shields. They're effective but energy-intensive. We've been reviewing the specs. If you combined our kinetic barrier technology with your plasma shields, you could reduce energy consumption by 40% while increasing overall protection. Your kinetic barrier technology is primitive, the Emperor said. Yes, but it's also simple and efficient. Sometimes simple is better. And if we work together, we could improve both technologies. Make something new. Something better. The Emperor considered this. What else? For the next hour, humans and Valkyrians presented ideas. Trade routes that could benefit both species. Joint research programs. Cultural exchanges, military cooperation. The conversation was not always smooth. There were disagreements. There were misunderstandings. But there was also mutual respect. Finally, the Emperor held up one massive hand. Enough. I have heard enough. He looked directly at Zekthoril. Ambassador, in 300 years you have never failed me. You have never questioned my orders. You have always followed protocol exactly. He paused. This is the first time you have done something unexpected. The first time you have recommended breaking tradition. Why? Zekthoril thought carefully. Because, Emperor, the humans taught me something I had forgotten. They taught me that rules exist to serve us, not control us. That tradition is valuable. But adaptation is survival. That sometimes the best path forward is the one no one has tried before. He met the Emperor's eyes. They taught me to laugh again, Emperor. When was the last time you laughed? The room was silent. Everyone held their breath. The Emperor's expression was unreadable. Then slowly the Emperor smiled. It was small, but it was genuine. It has been too long, old friend. Far too long. He straightened in his throne. Very well. I accept this proposal. We will create the Sol Accord, an alliance between the Valkyrian Empire and humanity. Equal partners, joint cooperation, mutual respect, Maria exhaled in relief. Thank you, Your Majesty. But understand this, the Emperor continued. We will be watching you. If you prove to be a threat, if you abuse this trust, we will respond accordingly. Fair enough, Maria said. We'll be watching you too. That's what partners do. The Emperor laughed again. I'm beginning to understand why Zekthoril likes you. You're refreshingly honest. Annoying, but honest. We get that a lot, O'Brien said. Over the next week, both sides worked on the Sol Accord. It was not easy. There were arguments about trade percentages, debates about military access, discussions about cultural boundaries. But slowly, carefully, they built something new. Something that had never existed in the Empire before. A true alliance between equals. The signing ceremony happened on Hope Station. Representatives from both sides gathered. The media from a dozen worlds watched. Maria and Zek Thorel signed first, then the Emperor added his seal remotely. "This is a historic moment," the Emperor announced. "Today, the Velkarian Empire recognizes humanity as equals. We enter a new age of cooperation and mutual growth." After the ceremony, there was another party. Of course there was. Humans never missed a chance to celebrate. This time, the Velkarians were ready. They had learned about music. They had learned about dancing. They had even learned about coffee, though most of them still preferred their traditional beverages. Velnor found herself talking to Dr. Park. "What happens now?" she asked. "Now. Now we work together, learn from each other, probably make mistakes, definitely argue, but we'll figure it out. You make it sound simple. It's not simple, but it's worth doing." Park smiled. "Besides, I'm excited. Your biology is fascinating. And our medical technology combined with your longevity research? We could do amazing things, you think so?" "I know so. That's the thing about humans. We're optimistic, sometimes stupidly so, but that optimism makes us try things others wouldn't. And sometimes it works." 6 months passed. The Sol Accord was working better than anyone expected. Human engineers were helping redesign Velkarian warships. Velkarian scientists were helping humans develop better FTL drives. Trade was flowing. Cultural exchanges were happening. Children on Earth were learning about Velkarian history. Velkarian younglings were reading human literature. There were problems, of course. Some Velkarians still saw humans as inferior. Some humans still distrusted the Empire. But more and more, the two species were learning to work together. Zek Thorel had retired from formal diplomatic duties. He now served as the Velkarian ambassador at large to Earth. He spent his days learning about human culture, writing a book, and occasionally teaching young diplomats. His book was titled How Humanity Broke Every Rule and Somehow Survived, a Diplomat's Memoir. One evening, Maria found him on the observation deck of Hope Station. "Looking at Earth, writing more of your book?" she asked. "Trying to," he said, "but I keep getting distracted by memories. Did you know that 6 months ago I thought this would be the simplest assignment of my career? And instead it became the most important one." He looked at her. "You changed me, Maria. Your entire species changed me. You reminded me that the galaxy is vast and full of surprises, that we should never stop being curious, never stop adapting, never stop laughing." "We learned from you too," Maria said. "You showed us that we're not alone, that there's a whole galaxy out there ready to be explored, and that sometimes the best way to make friends is to be honest." Even when it's difficult, they stood in comfortable silence, watching Earth turn slowly below them. "You know," Zek Thorel said, "another species just made first contact with us. They are requesting negotiations." "Oh? What are they like?" "Aggressive, militaristic, very traditional. They expect us to submit to their authority." He smiled. "The Emperor asked if you would like to assist with negotiations." Maria's eyes lit up. "Does this species like coffee?" "I have no idea." "Well, they're about to find out," she grinned. "When do we leave?" Zek Thorel laughed. It came easily now, this laughter. "Tomorrow. And Maria, bring Max the dog. I think our guests need to learn about emotional support animals." "That's evil. I love it." As they walked away from the observation deck, neither noticed the small ship entering Earth's solar system. Its occupants were monitoring transmissions about the terrifying humans who had somehow made the mighty Velkarian Empire laugh. The ship's captain looked at his crew. "Should we be worried?" "Definitely," his second-in-command said, but also curious. "Absolutely. The galaxy was changing. One laugh at a time."